What's up, friends? Jill here. I almost just said welcome back to a Spring Willow farm, but that's not the case. Wow, this is gonna take so much getting used to. I'm at Jess's today, which is not a Spring Willow farm yet. It's very much so still Roots and Refuge. I'm actually playing around on a new camera. She's letting me borrow one of her cameras to test it out and see, so you guys bear with me. This video may be a bit wonky because even though I have a camera as part of my job and I use it every single day, I am really bad with technology, like really, really bad. So I'm gonna try to navigate this. But today, I have got some Dahlia tubers that were my friend Sean's that were planting out in the tunnel. So Jess and I came out here and we cleared up and took out most of the cabbage, which there are some pretty big ones that I plan on taking home for dinner. That is a decent size. She has cabbages that are massive. So these bad boys are gonna be dinner. But they're getting really, really eaten up with bugs, so she gave me the liberty just to rip them out. She helped me rip them out, and now I'm just gonna plant some dahlias. So in full transparency, I don't know the first thing about growing dahlias. I am growing dahlias this year. But I'm growing dahlias from seed. And I know that when you talk to a lot of flower farmers who do this and they're growing a lot of flowers, or even just your backyard gardeners who are just specializing in flowers, they grow dahlias from tubers. Now, I didn't know anyone that was selling dahlia tubers, so I just bought them from seeds. I don't know enough to know the difference in them, if I'm just being completely honest. So these dahlia tubers came from my friend Sean. You see that they're in these clusters. I'm actually going to be planting them in the cluster, but each cluster there will be like an eye. And if you just break off that eye, you can plant all these different sections of the dahlia that produce those little eyes. So that is actually really cool. We don't have it, there's pretty good space, but there's a lot of dahlias here. So I am actually just going to be planting these in clusters, and then the extra, we're gonna send with Jess. So we have 4 different varieties here. We have a Boom Boom White, this is a Cafe All a Lot, and a couple other ones. So I'm just gonna be tagging these. The idea is to do 2 rows, and then I'm going to plant, you know, 2 varieties at the beginning of the row, 2 varieties at the end of the row, and then whatever's left over, I'm gonna put some in the cottage garden and send a lot of these with Jessica to plant at her new place, which will be kind of special because we're both gonna be planting them. So although I don't know much about planting dahlias, what I do know, and by do know, I mean I had a face call conversation with my friend Sean right before this video, like, okay, give me the lowdown. Is there a certain way you need to do this? What am I supposed to do? How far apart am I supposed to plant them? So by no means am I an expert. Hey girls. But let's get started. What I am gonna do is just kind of dig a trench in the soil here just to kind of give me an idea, and if I have any extras I'm just going to throw them in there. Ones that aren't really producing eyes that I don't know if they're going to produce anything or not, just to kind of see. So I will be planting these around 12 inches just because I don't have a lot of space, and I do think that I can kind of pack them out closer, and that will be okay. Hey babe, you want to help me? You want to help too? Okay, come on.
Right here.
You've got June?
Yeah, they were,
check out that cluster.
They were right over here. I was like, right now.
All right, so we are planting these about 12 inches apart.
Okay.
And so we're gonna do this variety halfway down and then another variety over there. So I'm just gonna hand them to you if you'll start laying them out.
Like what you've got here?
Yeah, just laying them like 12 to 18 inches. And then, so this may be another thing to note. So on these, I'm planting them much like we planted the ginger down there. You don't have to plant them super, super deep. And apparently, it doesn't even really matter which way you plant them. So I'm gonna do the eye up because that makes the most sense. But if you don't know where the eye is coming from because your tuber hasn't produced an eye yet, apparently you can throw them in there any which way and they will end up rotating in the soil and find the right way to pop up. I thought that was really interesting, didn't you?
Nature has a way.
Yeah, you wanna say hi to our friends?
Hey friends.
I started the video and I was like, hey guys, welcome back to, and I was like, oh gosh, no. My whole intro got thrown off.
12 inches?
Yeah, 12 inches. Other front.
So each one of these will produce lots of dahlias?
Yeah. So that is, Nathan was asking questions. So one of these, well, this is a cluster of tubers, but this cluster of tubers, I'll actually take you up into Jess's garden in a minute. You'll see all these huge dahlias growing. They actually grow from the one tuber. And to my understanding, when they're done, you dig up the tubers and you like dry them out and save them for the next year. Is how I think I understand that. I am definitely in the beginning stages of learning how to do all this. I don't know much about flowers, which is why I'm really excited to be able to have this opportunity to come in here and plant. I mean, how often does someone get to plant their future garden? That's actually pretty cool. So I am literally Nathan and I together are, like I said, I just dug a trench just because it was easier to see if I was gonna have any space to put in like maybe some little bitty like part of it, maybe that had broken off and wasn't in a total cluster. So I don't think I am, and I'm also wanting to save some of these to Jessica to take with her to her new place. So we're just kind of digging a trench. We are stopping right there because she does have beets and other things in there that are still like growing. I'm not planting these very deep. Like I had mentioned, it'll kind of be like the ginger. So I am just kind of digging a hole here. Obviously I want it all covered, but I'm not worrying about planting it like super, super deep. So just to show you guys what I'm talking about, so you guys can kind of understand for reference. Kind of like the ginger. I think that's probably about right. I am planting with this up though, so maybe that needs to go a little bit deeper. I have been told that there is a lot of liberty with dahlias, so that is really encouraging. It is good for beginners. You know, it always is nice to grow the things that are kind of easy. Sunflowers would be one of those for me. Just throw them in a pocket somewhere, you know, in your garden bed. It's really nice. So the last video Nathan and I did out here, we were with our friend Sean because he is going to be growing a lot of flowers in here with us. We have a nice little arrangement and scheduled, kind of somewhat figured out that's going to obviously need tweaking, but where we each kind of rotate days coming out here and harvesting and things like that. And honestly, it's just such a win-win for all of us because Nathan and I are sculpting and growing our knowledge in flowers, which is something we really want to do. We just don't know a whole lot about. And Sean and Melanie are really knowledgeable with flowers, and so they're able to kind of teach us. We're going to be allowing them to use the space right now. Jessica's just been so amazing on just like, hey, my garden's your garden, and we're really fortunate for that because she's let us just come out here. The things that are going to take a bit longer to get started, like these dahlia tubers, she's letting us just plant them out here, which is huge. I'm so thankful because you really just don't find that often, and it really is helping not just me and Nathan, but our friends Sean and Melanie as well, just kind of getting a head start on the next season. So that's exciting. I know that if you guys have been following Jess and Maya, you've seen their hollyhocks that are growing in the cottage garden. But y'all, I'm gonna take you up there and show you, because those of you who maybe don't follow Jessica, I promise you, you're going to be like, we had a moment, didn't we? We had a moment. And so I want you guys to have a moment too. I do encourage you though, that if you're wanting to maybe dabble into something that you're not familiar with, just do it, because Nathan and I aren't familiar with flowers. However, I'm really passionate to learn how to do flowers. And I know that the only way that I'm going to gain knowledge on that is just by being hands-on and learning and listening to someone else who knows what they're talking about. And that's how you grow. That's how you learn, right? And so if you are wanting to start something that you have never started before, whether that's growing flowers, maybe that's just starting a garden, do it, because the best way to learn is just by doing it. All right. I literally have dirt everywhere. That's a sign of a good day. Do I have dirt all over my face?
Oh yeah. Can I lick it?
No. Okay, let's go show them these hollyhocks. Sean actually started sunflowers that are going to go right over there. Will you grab my drink, please? And so that's exciting. We'll have those started and planted soon. I'm really starting to just realize that this is our space.
How'd y'all get in there?
Oh my gosh.
How did you get in there?
Yeah, Junie, I don't have any more clothes for June. We came out of the high tunnel. Well, at least they're having fun, huh?
Ivy June, what are you doing?
Well, they are having fun. They probably will not be having fun whenever we're driving home and they are soaking wet, yeah. Oh. Babe, does it seem real? It does, doesn't it? We were out here earlier under the pavilion just talking with Jessica and like listening to some of their dreams and talking through some of our dreams here, and it's just so exciting. It's so exciting to be able to walk through life with friends and family who support you, but in a really tangible way, you know? Like Jess and I support us so well and they love us so well in a really tangible way. And we're just really appreciative for them. I'm about to show off your hollyhocks.
Oh yeah. Nice.
I mean, seriously though, like your guns have to be massive because
Carrying that
this camera is heavy.
Yeah. If anybody ever tries to break and enter my house, they're gonna have to
Yeah, you got some.
meet my camera arm.
Check those out. These are currently my favorite thing on your farm.
When they dry, when the seeds dry, I'll make sure to throw some extras down for you.
I appreciate it. I mean, seriously though. So
I literally gasped when I saw them.
Yeah.
I was so dramatic, and whenever I brought Jeremiah and I was like, come and see, and he was like, okay, and I'm like,
that's it.
these are as dramatic as I feel inside as a person.
You know what's so funny though is I came out here the other day and there was just these little knobs, I guess, where the flower actually comes out of. And I thought, wonder what that's gonna be.
Yeah.
Like, And then when you did it, I'm like, oh, those are definitely need to
Amazing.
come back every single year.
I started these seeds inside in December of 2019. Isn't that crazy?
Wow, that's wild.
Process, baby.
Yes.
There's the
Well, thank
photo.
you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you can kind of see on this one, like, you can see where there's like big old clumps kind of coming up together, and you can, if you push them to the side, you can see multiple.
Oh, tubers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You can tell what happens when you plant them. Now, dahlias spread like crazy. So if you had separated those out and just put one little bit in, you would have not gotten such a show the first year, but if you left them in, of course, we don't have to dig them up here. It doesn't get cold enough. And they would come back thicker and thicker. Like that area you like so much in that raised bed with those dahlias.
Yeah.
That was just a couple little pieces that were spread out, and now
I
it's
see.
like super full. But this is what you get. I planted these like 2 months ago.
Okay.
So this was one of those whole, I call them hands. I have no idea what you're supposed to call them, but like a whole hand of those that they're all connected. So you have this big old clump of a plant. But if you ever buy from like fancy places that do like collector dahlias that are real rare, and you'll pay $20 and you'll get one of those little pieces. But but you start them and in 3 years you have plenty because they multiply so quickly.
Yeah, those over there, I love those.
Yeah, color than those.
Yeah, these are just my favorite. And so she planted these just an entire tuber or hand, as she was calling it.
And you can kind of, like, you can probably look down at the
Yeah.
base of that, but here you can see it's just a whole bunch of little stems coming up from the same area. And that was because I planted one of those whole things together.
That is actually a huge stalk.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, these are pretty intense. But I mean, if you're going to cut them, you would only be cutting this.
These are still my favorites.
Yeah, they're pretty.
How long will these be here? When will they like die back?
Well, they have some sort of rust or something on the leaves. Like, that's not great, but I'm not pulling them out. Like,
Oh yeah.
So I don't really know.
How long you'll have
Yeah.
them?
but I plan on saving lots of seeds and dropping lots of seeds. I figured I'd probably drop more along here if you want me to.
You go right ahead.
And I don't know when. They'll probably, with hollyhocks, if you sow them before winter, they overwinter and then they grow. And I think you can get blooms the first year after you sow them. So if we drop seeds, you should have more blooms next year from them.
Wow, did you know that peonies, is that what they're called?
I say peonies, but I'm country, so it sounds like panties.
Yeah. I don't say it right either. Those take like 3 years. You're supposed to not harvest off of them for 3 years.
Yeah. Well, there's a bunch of weeds in here. I need to get up in there and pull them up.
Oh,
But that's
yeah.
what these are right
Okay.
there. But they've not bloomed. I put these in last year, and they haven't done anything yet. So but you'll get them next year.
So here are the dahlias that introduced me to dahlias. I didn't even know dahlias were really a thing until we farm set, and then I saw these. I'm forever changed. So it has been so nice just coming out here and planting, but also as Jess is beginning to transition and they're going to be gone in just a few weeks, really. Any time I get just to hang out with her, I'm cherishing a bit more than I think I took it for granted that we like just lived so close for so long. For as long as I've known her, actually, I've just lived really close to her. So it's no big deal just to get in the car and drive over here. And so it was just really good time of fellowship today, just hanging out. And just being able to walk into this space and see how much love she's put into it, knowing that, yeah, she'll reap the bounty of some of that, but a lot of that Nathan and I are going to get to just kind of walk into. And I moved around quite a bit as a kid, and I don't do transition well, even if it's a good transition, which this is an amazing transition, but it's different. I remember when Nathan and I bought our house. You want to come over here? Because this was set, we talk about this and it's been almost 4 years later. We had a mattress laid down on the living room floor. There was 1970s shag carpet. I couldn't breathe because the dust had been in there from like the 60s. And I told him, like, I will not stay here. I am not staying here. And he was like, well, honey, we done bought the house. Like, you're staying here. And even though I knew it was going to be a good thing, that transition was so incredibly hard. And I'm so thankful that this is what I get to transition to. That I'm going to come in here, I'm going to have the peace from the garden, I'm going to immediately come in here and be able to harvest food for my family. I'm not having to worry about those things. And so I'm just really fortunate that she put so much of her heart into her last gardening season here, because I know it's going to make the transition easier, and it's going to really just bring a sense of peace in kind of a chaotic season. And just looking at everything right now, it's so beautiful. I can't imagine what it's going to look like in a few months. I'm sure everything's just going to be in full bloom, and it's going to be wildly chaotic, which is exactly what I like. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us as we got to plant some dahlias, learning something new, kind of get a tour of all of the beautiful things growing in Jessica's garden. But we'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye, guys.